Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to do a little bit of gameplay of the Sylvan Mentor list that we went over in last week's article. Check that out if you haven't seen it. And I'm going to go a little bit more in depth in some of the cards in the deck list, sideboard choices, and matchups. So let's dive in. Okay, so our opponent is on the plate and they're leading with a Mox Ruby. And a Black Lotus. I guess this is vintage. This is a great way to start for our opponent. Alright, it looks like our opponent is actually passing the turn, so it's likely that they have a very reactive hand. Luckily, we drew a Soul Ring, which is pretty amazing. Our hand was good, but not very explosive. Soul Ring definitely helps to fix that. The opponent rightfully is going to Mental Misstep that, which we will use our very own Mental Misstep. Now, this is why I said in the deck list that 4 Mental Missteps are non-negotiable. You will see this card a lot when you're playing in Vintage. Okay, phenomenal. Our Soul Ring has resolved. That's good news for us. And then we will say go for our opponent. And here, it's unlikely that our opponent will do anything since last turn they didn't have anything with all that mana, but anything's possible, I guess. Looks like he might be. Oh boy, okay. Show and tell. Our hand isn't really set up well against show and tell, but at least we have a mentor to bring to class. And he has Omniscience. That is really bad for us. That is the worst card to see. Worse than Griselbrand, even if that's possible. Here, I'm going to try to put the pressure on him as quickly as possible. I'm going to start off with Brainstorm since we don't have a shuffle effect. Ponder can act as a shuffle effect for us. And here, Flusterstorm isn't great. I'm still most likely thinking of putting back Treasure Cruise and Dax, since those are the two spells I definitely won't be able to cast this turn. So not putting pressure on, because that Omniscience is a ticking time bomb on the other side of the table. So here, let's ponder, see what we got. We know about these guys, and we are going to shuffle them away. Why have a shuffle effect when you could have Ponder? Gitaxian Probe is an amazing draw for us, actually. It really adds a lot of the pressure. We also get to see that mystery card in our opponent's hand. It's a tropical island. The coast is clear for now. Okay, and let's do what we do best. So let's attack. Okay, and let's cross our fingers and hope he doesn't draw anything too great. Oath of Druids is a pretty good draw here for him. It's not the best, it's not the worst. It means that we will most likely be seeing Griselbrand next turn, so we have to try to deal enough damage that he can't draw with Griselbrand. Here, we drew a land, so I'm going to just probably play both Sylvan Libraries for maximum damage that our hand at least allows at the time. And if I did my quick math correctly, it looks like we will have him almost dead. Very, very, very close. But as Brandy said in the 90s, almost doesn't count. Playing Mentor is so much fun because there's so many triggers. So you can kind of see like what I was talking about earlier with how explosive Mentor can be. We just barely got him down and now our opponent's at 1. Here you can also see that redundant Sylvan Libraries aren't great, kind of like I was talking about earlier. And Griselbrand, just like what we thought, we should be able to make it through Griselbrand, but we will not be able to make it through an Emrakul. Oh no, I guess that's vintage. Let's shuffle them up and go to sideboarding. Now we can deduce that our opponent is playing Omni Oath. It is an Oath of Druids deck that plays multiple show and tell copies and Omniscience. For sideboarding, we are going to be bringing in Flusterstorms. Flusterstorms are great because they are good for a counter war. Aethersworn Canoness because it's good against Omniscience. Containment Priest because it's good against both Show and Tell and Oath of Druids. And Pyroblast because there is always blue spells to counter. We're going to be cutting swords to plowshares here because that is not the type of game that you want to be playing against Griselbrand. We're also going to be cutting a basic island. I do cut that basic island a lot, especially against decks that do not pressure your mana base. And we also are going to be cutting Dak Faden. The game isn't going to really go long enough for us to be able to sculpt our hand, and there isn't any really great artifacts for us to steal. The only good thing about losing is at least we are guaranteed to be on the play. Here with this hand, I think we're going to keep it. It's very light on action, but it does have a Pyroblast, a Gush that can hopefully draw us in, and some explosiveness with the Moxes. Here, I'm going to go ahead and play one Mox. That way if I draw a Mentor, I can play Land Mentor. I want to hold the other Mox. With Mentor, Moxes can become food. So you kind of want to hold them if you don't need them in that regard. Our opponent's going to play a Mox Ruby Underground Sea here. And he's contemplating. Okay, we drew another Gush here, so I'm going to crack this Delta, get a Tundra, and go ahead and fire one of these off, try to draw us into a little bit of action, see what we can wrestle up here. Not the best, but I'll take a Soul Ring, I guess, any day. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Our opponent is going to Brainstorm in response. And it looks like it is going to be resolving. We are going to say go and see what our opponent has in store for us. Here, he's going to preordain. Always scary from a combo deck. We will see what he can come up with. Looks like he is going to pass the turn. Here, we're going to go ahead and play that Jet. I know I said earlier, but with Soul Ring and playing the Jet, we're going to be able to Gush end of turn. And hopefully that finally draws us into some action. Luckily for us, it looks like our opponent doesn't have anything, so we're going to fire off his Gush, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope it resolves. And it does. Recall. I'm happy about that one. Let's see if we can figure out a way to get it to resolve. I'm going to go ahead and probe first so I can kind of see if the coast is clear. Maybe bait a mental misstep. And we did. Perfect. That is exactly what we want to see here. And now we're going to play the Tundra so we can go ahead and leave up the Pyroblast here. We're going to recall, targeting ourselves, of course. The only mode. And we will see what he has. A mental misstep. We're going to Pyroblast that. That's definitely worth fighting over. And it looks like it's going to resolve. Okay, here I'm going to go ahead and not cast Probe. I want to leave that as a blue spell to pitch to Force of Will. I don't want to have to pitch the Brainstorm, and I can't cast it as awkwardly. I do not have any blue mana. Hopefully our plan is to set up Ethersorn Canonist next turn to give us a little bit of insurance against Omniscience. It looks like our opponent is casting Burning Wish. Here, since this isn't a storm situation, I really am not going to force the Burning Wish. If you're not in kind of like playing against a storm where they can get empty the Warrens, you're going to want to most likely force what they get rather than the Burning Wish itself. Here, my opponent is probably looking either for a combo piece like Show and Tell, or he's looking for like some type of disruption to get his combo through. And it looked like he got a Thoughtseize, so he is looking for something to kind of push that combo through. So here with the Thoughtseize, this is actually a super hard play here. If we believe that the Etherstone Canonist is good enough, we want to force the Thoughtseize. However, because he could be having Gristlebrand or Omniscience, we're 50-50 on whether the Etherstone Canonist is good enough. That's something our opponent knows that we don't know. If we don't force the Thoughtseize, he can just take the Etherstone Canonist, and if we don't force the Thoughtseize, he could just take the Force if the Etherstone Canonist isn't good enough. So it looks like here that he did take the Etherstone Canonist. I decided not to force to at least let us keep our Force of Will. Okay, here we are going to Brainstorm. We're going to hope that this Brainstorm reveals a little bit of pressure, or ways that we can pressure our opponent, and also hopefully some extra insurance. We're just going to throw away these useless lands. We're going to fetch them away, and we are going to... I'm actually not going to play Monastery Mentor here, or Probe, which I was going to. I'm going to wait and flash in Containment Priest. I think that's better, and I really kind of want to hold the Probe until I actually have Mentor down. So we are going to just pass the turn here. See what our opponent has up his sleeve. Alright. Okay, an oath. So an oath here, I could just flash in the Containment Priest. However, I still kind of want to fight against it. His deck does play Abrupt Decays, and I won't be able to fight if he Abrupt Decays my Containment Priest. So here, I'm still going to go ahead and force the oath. Kind of see what happens. Okay, so it looks like we were able to force that. End of turn, I'm still going to flash in that Containment Priest for a little bit of extra insurance. Okay, Library. Great card, a little bit late here. Gonna go ahead and play Monastery Mentor. No, not this first. Alright. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get Probe him. Trigger my Mentor. And we will go ahead and see what is in our opponent's hand finally. Okay. 2 Omnisciences and a Mana Crypt. He really needs a Show and Tell to force those guys through. We also drew a Force of Will off of our Get Probe. That is phenomenal. Let's go ahead and try to get this Mentor to close out the game quickly before he can draw anything. Okay, let's go ahead and play our Sylvan Library so we can filter our draws and we can also trigger our Mentor. With my calculations, with 1 more spell next turn, he should be dead. So we just need to make it through 1 more turn. And that is how fast Mentor can kill people. It's pretty insane. Okay, here he has a dig through time. I do think it's pretty safe to Force of Will this here. Force of Willing it, knowing that it was the card he drew, and also knowing that it will leave him dead next turn with the extra token. Seems like a pretty good area for Force of Will, but really, when is it not? Okay. Alright, I'm going to be able to use our Sylvan Library here. Going through this is a little bit superfluous. We don't really need to, but always good to be in good habit. Keeping the forces just nice insurance. And that should do it. Alright, let's go to game 3. As far as the sideboard goes, nothing really changes. We didn't see any super secret sideboard tech from him. Seemed pretty like the standard fare. Nothing really changes with this matchup on the player draw, at least with what we've brought in. Okay, here our opponent is going to be on the play. This hand is a Sneap, I think they say. It has the ability to play turn 2 Jace, has the ability to play Mentor super fast, has a little bit of permission going on in there, so we're definitely going to keep this. Looks like our opponent is going to mulligan, and then he's going to start off with a Mox. Not bad. Alright, and we drew Brainstorm. This was actually great because we have another blue card to pitch to Force of Will instead of our Jace. So here we're just going to stay on course, play our Vol and our Soul Ring, and cross our fingers we can play something good next turn. This game is shaping up to go pretty quickly. Definitely going to force Oath of Druids here. And we will be pitching that Brainstorm, keeping our Jace nice and safe in our hand. Okay. Here, even though we could probably jam Jace, and most likely it would resolve as he didn't fight over our force on his Oath, I still think it's better to just lead with Mentor. It's a really fast clock, and we also get to leave a Pyroblast that way. Here he's going to Brainstorm. I'm going to misstep this. I think we have all of the makings of getting this game over very quickly. He's going to misstep back. I'm going to let all of these triggers resolve, and I do think I'm going to Pyroblast this Brainstorm. Next turn, I'm going to hope to play Jace, so I won't have the mana open to Pyroblast anyways. so we might as well get a token out of it for our troubles now. Okay, recall. Not bad. I guess the rich get richer. Hopefully we can draw a land so we can play our Jace as well. Oh, darn, no land, but I think we're going to be pretty happy with this. We have a lot of permissions, so we're definitely going to be able to push through the rest of this damage. We should definitely be looking at lethal. Okay. Here, just because it's gonna, like I said, make it lethal for us, we're just gonna Flusterstorm this. And that's it.